already. Alrighty, hi. I decided I would talk about my paranormal experiences. I thought it would be very important to share with other people that have experienced like the same things, or they just want to hear some stories. So these are all true. They're all my experiences, and this is just what I believe. There are certain things in certain people's lives, and it's like, oh, that just has a scientific explanation for it. That's cool. But I believe in the paranormal, so we're gonna get into it. So I'm gonna start from all the way when I was a child, like really, really young, and then all the way to now as a teenager. Alrighty. So my first paranormal experience that I really can recall, at least it felt paranormal, it was my very first, like, kind of, like, house that we lived in, and it wasn't necessarily, like, a house, it was a condo, and we lived on the condos that were on the next story up, so you can walk to your house from the sidewalk, or you can walk up the stairs to the condo above you, so that's where we lived, and I was outside, and I was walking up, and I was just, like, walking up the stairs to go inside my house. I guess I was, like, done playing or something, or it was, like, after I was playing or something, or I was just outside. And so I walk up the stairs, and as I got to the very top, there's kind of, like, it's like a mini porch, pretty much. Like, think of, like, a mini balcony, but it's not. It was just, like, flat, and then, let me put a diagram. So here is the, like, kind of porch where you step out, and then it's got, like, that barrier, and then there's the stairs, but the house is all here, and then the stairs run along outside. That's how it was. So I walk up, and I'm on that, like, little platform almost, and as I put my other foot up, all of a sudden, my back I just fall back. Like, I just fell back, and I don't usually do that. And it wasn't because I had bad footing on my stairs, because I walked with them, like, all my life, even when I really couldn't remember, but I was used to the stairs. I knew how to walk on them. And I know some people get bad footing, when they're walking on their own stairs, like, oh, I slipped on my, stairs, even though they've lived there for so many years. But this was different. I always walk, like, with an incline, kind of. I don't always stay up straight. When I was a kid, I walked, like, I leaned forward, And apparently, I don't know, I just put my foot up, and then I remember just falling back, and I was tumbling backwards down my stairs, and it wasn't scary, it was just kind of like, oh, that happened, I didn't realize that, So I was tumbling down my stairs backwards, mind you, and I don't know where my face was. Like, I think, like, I was literally falling backwards, and I fell where I was tumbling backwards with my body. Like, think of tumbling, and I was tumbling backwards, and I was on my face at one point, and something in my head, or my conscious, something just said, grab out, and so my arms automatically kind of like, well, I wouldn't say automatically, but, I don't remember really voluntarily sticking out my arms. I was really young. But I stuck out my arms at this certain time, and I grabbed the board, and mind you, like, these are wooden stairs, and, there are rusty nails sticking up out of it on the sides, and so it was dangerous, and I just reached out for a certain board. It was a few boards up, so I grabbed on that, and then all of a sudden I felt my feet, like, the front part of my foot, I felt it kind of, like, hit the cement, because, mind you, there was cement all around. There wasn't any, like, grass leading up to, like, the stairs, and so I literally, like, my feet just fell down, and I had shoes on, I had clothes on, so I wasn't, like, open to really any wounds, besides probably my arms and my legs, obviously, so I just kind of stood there, and I was like, what just happened? Like, I reached out and I grabbed something, and then, I don't know, something in my head, or my something, that voice that says, maybe I should do this, maybe I shouldn't do this. That voice came into my head, and it just told me to, like, reach out now. And so I was like, oh, I didn't really think about it, and nothing ever told me. If that voice didn't come in my head, I probably would have kept rolling until I hit the cement, and that would have been really bad, obviously because of cement, and I probably could have had, like, a concussion, but it was really weird. I just, I reached out. That, as a kid, like really, really young, it didn't make sense to me at the time, but I remember telling my mom, like, oh, I fell downstairs, but I caught myself, I mean, I don't know, I think to me, that's paranormal. I don't know what pushed me, because I know it was a push. I didn't necessarily feel it, but then again, I didn't feel whatever stuck my arms out. Okay, that's just not explain. Like, I can't explain that. It's unexplainable. I don't know any kid that would do that, in their mind. Like, hey, this is a smart idea. I would have kept rolling. I mean, I know it's like instinct for your arms to reach out, and protect you for certain things. But to grab on a board while I'm tumbling, like I grabbed within the board. So boards on the stairs, like that, right? How could my hand like stick and reach into this while I'm tumbling? Because it kind of, like there's open space in between here. How did my mind just know to go for a certain board at the right time? Like I didn't, I wasn't reaching out and clawing for anything. It was like I just reached out at the right time, both of my arms. Like that doesn't just happen. Like to me, it doesn't make sense. So my mom likes to think I had a guardian angel like watching over me. But yeah, that was pretty weird. I think that was like my only like paranormal experience at that house. But I consider it paranormal because it's something unseen and something told me consciously. And mind you, I didn't have any bruises or scrapes. No blood was coming off of me. I wasn't hurt. I didn't feel a single thing. And I remember this. I didn't feel a single thing. And I remember pain quite well. I remember it as a kid. I mean, I've walked up those stairs really fast, and my knees were insanely bloody, just like bleeding through my jeans. So, it's very unexplainable. So, the next, I'd say, I'm not really sure where to go from here, but we can definitely go to this house here. So, being here, sometimes I hear things, but the neighbors, they've always, talked about different, experiences. And I hear things ever so often. Things will be kind of like missing. Once I put a brush on a box, and then I went to go play with my friend, and then the next day it was like, oh, I need that brush. So I looked around on the same box, and like I looked around, and I remember I left that there, and I couldn't find it for a while. So I just like, after a few days, I found it. I don't know if it was in the same place or if it was in a different place, but I did find it. That happens sometime with stuff. I mean, I do lose things kind of, but I know where they are, Like, oh, I left that there. Instead of, like, where did I put that? Like, things like even my mouth guard, it'll just kind of, like, move. But it's nothing, like, weird. It's like, even I'll tell my mom. I'll be like, Mom, did you move that? And she'll kind of be like, I didn't touch anything, JC. And I'm just like, okay, whatever. So I just ignore it. Then I guess I could tell you about experience at my aunt's house. They've had activity in that house for so long. Nobody lives in it right now. She's actually, trying to sell it, so I don't know what's happening in that house. But there's apparently a male presence in that house, and he seems to be really friendly, but my cousin has had some, like, scary experiences in that house. I could tell you them if you wanted to know later, but I'm going to tell you my experience. So, basically, my aunt, uncle, and my mom, we were all at my aunt's house, and they were doing, like, some work in the garage. They were probably, like, they're drilling, they've been, like, renovating the place, kind of, Sorry, there's a bug. But they've been fixing up the place. And so, basically, I know that activity can stir up spirits, at least that's what... Okay. I know that activity can stir up spirits. So I know for a fact that stuff was moving in that house. So basically, I went ahead and I was just, chilling in the living room. I wasn't scared. It was daylight. The sun was out, but I was in the living room. And basically, there's the living room, and then, the living room is where you walk into in the front door. You're walking into the living room, but then there's also kind of like an arch, and you can go into the little dining room. And then there's another arch, but okay, so let's picture this. So this is me. I'm walking into the living room. Then there's an arch right in front of there, so you keep walking. And then you take a right, and that's where the kitchen is. And that's another arch. And if you go farther into the kitchen, you take another right, and there's another arch. And you just go through there, through a little path, and you find yourself to the garage. So I knew they were all in the garage. So I sat there, I was just reading my book, and, sorry, there's a bug. And basically, I don't know, I was just laying on the couch, sideways. I wasn't hanging off of it or whatever. And I don't know which way I was faced, but I remember I heard someone walk in, like they had men's shoes on, like boots, if you know what I'm talking about. Like it wasn't squeaky, because they weren't doing anything wet or anything where you could hear that and the floors aren't squeaky, but like it was firm, and you could hear walking. It wasn't like clicking, it was like just firm walking. And I knew it wasn't my aunt and I knew it wasn't my mom, so it had to be my uncle. And so I hear walking, like they were in the, like you can't really hear when someone opens the garage door unless, you're really listening. I wasn't, I was zoned in my book. And so I didn't hear anyone like open the garage door, like, oh, they're walking through the path now, and there's not really a door, like I said, there's just a doorway. But there's just like a little, like a doggy door, not like a doggy door, but it's like one of those fence-like things. They're wooden, and they have like, think of a fence, and how it's all metal, but think of that for, like, people put those in their houses, like, in doorways, and it keeps dogs out. It was like that. They have that, but they have it to where there's a bungee kind of, like, cord on it, so you can move it. The dogs can't get in or out, but you can open it and close it, and it just kind of, like, snaps back. So I didn't hear that go off. I just heard, like, walking, and I was like, oh, okay, I guess it was quiet. Like, they just shut it slightly. Like, I'm thinking that now. It wasn't going through my mind. It was nothing. And I heard, like, firm walking, and they go into the kitchen. And then I hear, like, there's a faucet, if you walk in through that doorway of the path and you turn right, and there's, like, a little, faucet, like, sink. And so I heard someone walk up to that, and they turned on the water, and I hear the water running, and then I hear, like, a sigh, like, like a, I don't know, it was just a sigh, but it wasn't like a feminine sigh. Like, it sounded like, okay, it's probably my uncle. Because they're working out there, and it's, I don't know what temperature it is, but I knew it was warm. And I just heard that. And then I heard, just kind of like walking out, but the water wasn't turned off. And so I was like, oh, okay, whatever, left the water on, probably going to come back. Nobody came back, and then apparently I heard someone else walk in, and it sounded like my aunt, and then she turned off the faucet, and then she just went back out, like she grabbed something, and then she went back to the garage. Later, I told her about that experience, and she said when she just walked in, the water was just running. And I was like, well, that makes sense. And then we asked my Uncle Kenny, and he said, I never went in there, and Aunt Lynn said he's been there the whole time. When I just, like, left, that's when I, saw the water and everything, and it was really weird. Like, did I just hear, they call that Spirit Fred, and that was weird. Like, that was my only experience with him, and I don't know, it was weird. I was like, wow. It kind of freaked me out, but because I was alone, and I somehow handled it so well, because when I'm alone, it kind of freaks me out, but he's a friendly spirit, like, he's not, he just does his own thing. And I had that experience, and I thought it was really weird. Then another experience with my aunt and my cousin. Basically, it's the same aunt, but we decided to go to a cemetery, and we were going to take pictures because we, like, we're interested in that type of stuff. So we got our cameras, and we got our flash on, and we just took pictures. While we were walking, like, my aunt was in the car, and she was, like, driving, on the path, and me and my cousin, we got out, and we'd just kind of stand and take pictures, and then my aunt would just kind of sit in the car for a bit, and she'd just keep driving, So, basically, we walked around a bit, and then all of a sudden I heard, like, crying behind me. Oh, it was freaky. I don't even remember which cemetery it was, but it was like, oh, like you feel like things are like hiding from you behind the stones, the tombstones. And mind you, we weren't walking on anybody's like grave site. We were literally just walking in the steps, and we tilted our cameras up to the sky, and we, took tons of pictures, and you can see these like orbs moving, like you can see them, and you can see them increase and decrease, and you can see them hide, and you can see them, like you can see them move, you can see them in the trees, you could see them like so many places. It was insane. It was so cool, but it was like kind of freaky because I heard like crying behind me, and I was like, oh, I guess someone's visiting me tonight. It was very faint, like vague, but I still heard it, and it sounded like a woman, like a feminine type of crying, and it was, I don't know. I'm sure it felt like something, but it felt like it was kind of like following us, like the sound kept following us no matter like what distance we were away, but it was only on the path, and yeah, that happened. Then, oh, I'll tell you, after the cemetery, we went back to her house, and we took pictures in like her room, and we believe in when you talk about it, it can possibly stir things up, because you're talking about it. When you don't talk about it, it's just when you acknowledge it. That's when, that's what we believe. Oh my gosh. So, basically, we went in her room, and we took pictures, and I got this thing on my camera. It was really crazy. I still have, like, the same camera, obviously, but I took this picture, and there's this huge blue orb in the corner of her room, like, compared to all the others. And I didn't get any other, like, pictures of it because we kept taking pictures. We wanted to see them, like, move or any differences. And so basically, it was this huge blue orb. It was, like, blue, but still, like, slightly see-through, just slightly. It was so vibrant, like, it was so blue around the edge. And it was, like, a perfect circle. Nothing comes up like that if it's just dirt, dust, or a bug. It was huge. And I don't know. I have the picture, and I'll probably insert it in sometime, or I'll just link you to it. But basically, that was pretty cool. We didn't understand it. We didn't bother to understand it, but then it was gone. We kept taking pictures. We went all around the house. We didn't get the same effect. So, I mean, it's okay. It's whatever. Probably just like passing through. Now I'll tell you about some experiences that I've had at my house. Basically, sometimes when I'm around, I feel like someone's watching me. Like, I don't know, I get this feeling like, so I keep looking somewhere. Like, I keep looking over there, because I don't know. I just always do that. But I don't know, I felt this feminine presence, kind of. Like, once I was putting in my hair extensions for the first time in a long time recently, and I looked to the right, and it felt like a feminine presence. Like, I felt like there was black hair. She wasn't a teenager or a kid. She wasn't an older woman. I felt like she was in like her 20s or 30s, not like early 20s, probably like maybe mid or later 20s, and like early 30s. I don't know. Also, sometimes you hear noises. My mom actually had experience in her own room. And it felt feminine, so I don't know if it's like the same one, but it's not like it's not constant, and I'm grateful that it's not constant because I don't do good. What else though? Sometimes I feel cool breezes. Like, sorry, I'm killing a bug. Sometimes I feel like cool breezes come in, and it's usually around my legs. Only my legs. Like, I never really feel cool breezes anywhere. I don't ever really hear voices. Sometimes I feel like I am hearing something downstairs, and I feel like my mom is downstairs. Like, I have that feeling, and then I'll call for her, and then she'll come in through, like, the door, like, she'll come in through the entryway, and I'm just like, oh, like, I don't know, I get certain feelings, and it's just like, oh, I guess that was something else. Sometimes when I'm looking around, this happens often. I don't know if it's, like, paranormal, but I feel like it kind of is. I'll look, like, I can look at something, I can just stare at something, and then I see, like, movement around me. Like, I don't see any color to it. It's more so it's very see-through, but I feel like things are moving within it. And my dogs, we have a couple, but my tiny dogs, my two tiny dogs, um, they used to always be in my room, and they would always sit at this one point, like before this door, and they'd look in the corner, and they'd just stare at it, and if it was evil, they would have barked. I know that. But they were just listening, like they were just watching it, and that's happened with both of them, but it never happens at the same time. It's always like different times. And then sometimes my dog, the only one that's small now, she sits on the edge of my bed, and she'll watch stuff. She'll look at it, and she'll just look at it like she's looking at something, and it'll like go like my bed. This is the edge of my bed, and I'm all the way, back here. My head's here, and I'm just like chilling here, and my dog's at the end. And then she'll look like something's walking like right here, just like there's just movement back and forth. It's never like, oh, she's following it to watch it go out the door. It's just like back and forth, back and forth. And mind you, there are like windows here, so I don't know, but she does that thing, like, I don't know, and there's like just boxes or just like just stuff, at the edge of my bed. So she's just like, I don't know, she does that sometimes. And then once when I got out of like the shower or whatever, I saw like a shadow, and I saw it kind of like move, like it went into the door, but it wasn't like entirely black. It wasn't massive. It was just like a light shadow, and I tried to recreate it. I always do that with shadows, and I couldn't recreate it, and I was like, I always feel like someone's watching me anyways. So it was like, okay, it didn't feel like threatening. Nothing ever feels like threatening in this house, but I'll actually be in the kitchen sometimes, and my mom's room is right across from the kitchen, but then again, the top of the stairs is right in front of my mom's room, so that kind of like, I don't know, sometimes when I'm in there, I feel like a female presence is like looking at me. I don't know how old, but it just feels like, I don't know, watching me, and it makes me feel like, don't like this. I don't know, just because it's the idea, like, I respect your presence, it's cool, I'm totally fine with it, but it's just that. Oh, and also I feel like touching, like I feel like wispy stuff moving, and I'll tell you about this whole build-up experience. This is the most recent and the most like scary. Basically, I have to remember how this started. Here, I have to look it up. Like, I sent an entire message to my friends explaining it because they asked. But I will look for it because it's really important. It's a long, long explanation of what happened. It's difficult to find. Where is it? Okay, I think I found it. Okay, I found it. Okay. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so after I put in my hair extensions here and I felt like there's a womanly presence, like feminine, looking at me from here, basically, I took it out and I was like, oh, whatever. And I went ahead and I went to bed, and then, like, sometime after that, I woke up with, like, a long scratch on my leg. It's still on my leg. Like, it still hasn't healed. It was a deep scratch. Oh my gosh, I'm scarring really badly from it. I didn't realize that. I still have, like, they're still healing. I have a super thin scratch right here, and then I have a super thick scratch. You can't even see it, but yeah. So I got the really thick scratch first, and that was higher up on my left calf, and it was on the side, facing, like, outward. And they're always curvy. It was just one. And, back when I was little, I used to get scratches and bruises all the time. Like, I always do that when I'm asleep, but I know I don't sleepwalk, Like, at least to my knowledge, I don't sleepwalk. But, I know I don't sleepwalk. I don't know. I know I can't sleepwalk. Like, my aunt would have told me by now, my friends would have told me, whatever, my mom would have told me. We know we don't. Like, I know I don't sleepwalk. Maybe I might have sleepwalked, but I just get bruises all over my body. and sometimes I get like scratches on my head or like some bruises randomly on my body, and they can be like blue, um, or they can be super vague, or like they're never really bad to where they're like purple and like blue and yellow. It's never that. It's either like blue and purplish. So anyways, um, I basically used to have those nightmares, so I'm kind of used to it. But it wasn't like I could have scratched myself because my nails are always blunt. I always cut them, but they're always blunt. Like I don't ever do my nails, and nothing ever is in my bed to like scratch me. So, anyways, let's look through this. So yeah, I woke up, and so anyways, I was just laying on my stomach and I was trying to sleep, and I just kind of laid there, and I felt something wispy. When I feel something wispy, I feel like it's touching me. Sometimes when I'm sitting in my room, I feel like something wispies around my legs, and it's like a wispy feeling. Like it's not like human hands touching me. It's just like wispy. I can't even explain it. It's very light, very vague, but I can feel it. And anyways, I still have feeling like something's touching me on my leg or something's falling on my leg, and I look down like without moving. I look down and I'm like, was that a hair? Was that like my dog? And it's not, you know. But anyways, so yeah, I felt something wispy on my leg, and it was touching my left leg, the leg that got scratched earlier. And I'm sorry, I'm reading this because I typed this out. And I laid there, you know, for a while because I was tired and I couldn't sleep. After a while, you know, I got up and I looked, and there was like, oh wait, okay, so I got a thicker scratch. Okay, so I had like a basic thin scratch when I woke up, but then when I went to sleep and I got back up after, like when I was trying to go to sleep, I got a thicker scratch. And I didn't feel it. Like, you know those things, and I didn't feel it. It was weird. Anyways, uh, like it literally just appeared, you know, and both of them are wavy and like they look like exact copies besides like the length and depth, pretty much. Um, So, okay, and then around like 5 or 7 p.m., when I was about to go with my friends, you know, or whatever, I walked into the kitchen and I went to, like, I was gonna drink one of my, like, naked juice drinks, and it's really big, and, you know, I don't directly, like, drink out of it, so I usually get a straw. Well, I reached for, like, the straw, and I felt something wispy touch my neck, like, on the left side of me, and I felt it, like, touch all over me, like, it was on my neck and, like, all like right here, like something wispy. It wasn't like human hands, like oh, you know, it was like wispy. And I was like, what the hell was that? Because I was like, is that a moth or something? I just felt it, and it wasn't like I could explain it. It wasn't like there weren't any moths in here. My you know, and it wasn't my hair. My hair doesn't feel that exact wispy thing, and I just felt it. Um, so it was just when I reached for the straw and I pushed it down, like when I was trying to get it out, you know, it's far away from me. It's a straw. It's got the plastics, not the plastic, the stuff, the covering. You know, when you have to push it down. It wasn't like plastic. It was like the white type of paperish thing, and it was all the way far from me. But that never happens. Like I never feel that wispy feeling that much in contact. It's always just around my legs. Anyways, so yeah, it just I don't know. It was like, what the hell happened? So like, whenever I feel that, I just look at it and I look at where I'm feeling it and it just stops. I don't know if it's psychological, but it happens and I just look at it and it stops. But considering I can actually feel it, you know, that's different. I feel like it's really different instead of saying, oh, it's all in my head. You know, I feel stuff under my skin. It's not like that at all. Anyways, so, you know, when I look down, it'll stop and I can't feel it for a while. Anyways, so you know, I kind of stood in there and I said, leave me alone. Like, I really want to be left alone right now. I'm just like, I'm really hot, I'm really sweaty. I'm not in the mood to be messed with. I'm sorry, but please leave me alone. I respect you, and, you know, it's whatever. You know, I was just like, please leave me alone. Please. I'm just so hot and bothered. Like, I'm so tired and pissed off because it was so hot and our air conditioner was, like, not working. So we just used fans, and the fans weren't working, and I was like, oh my gosh, I just need to go with my friends, just go somewhere with my friends, and I was waiting for them. So anyways, so yeah, that's what I told it, and I just stood there for a while, and I said, please leave me at peace, you know, because I know it's something. I know it's something, because I felt watched. And anyways, so while I was walking back, like I felt like eyes were watching me, or like something was behind me, and I usually always feel that when I go from the kitchen to there. Like it's very often that I feel that, and it's like kind of like paranoid, like it gives me anxiety, so I'm gonna pick up the pace. And I usually take my dog with me because my dogs make me feel more secure. That's why we have so many dogs, because I have anxiety over the type of stuff. Like I can't be alone. Like I had separation anxiety when I was a kid, and I would scream, and I would just like hold on to my mom. Like I'd physically hold on to my mom, and I have that anxiety. So I have different types of anxiety now, kind of, like I get that feeling, and it's like I need to run. So, anyways, um, that's what I felt. And when I got into my room, I just sat there, and I felt the wispy feeling, like a bit on my like feet and ankles, and I told it to leave me alone again. And it wasn't like I was scared of anything, but it just like wouldn't stop, and it would come and go as it pleased. Like there wasn't really any pattern, like every minute, every like 10 seconds. It was just like it just comes and goes, and I feel it. Anyways, so I just like sat there in my computer chair, and then I felt like a cool breeze down the left side of my leg. And mind you, I had only one window open, and I was to the window that was closest to me. But I looked, and usually, like my blinds, they're closed. So typically, if there is a breeze that I can feel, the blinds will move. The blinds didn't move at all, and I kept looking, and I felt that breeze, and I was like, what the hell? Like, I don't know, and I looked to the left. And then all of a sudden, something just made me feel, look right there. It was that voice again. So I just looked right there at the bottom of my door, and it's this door right here. And I looked at the bottom of it, and this vanity area, it's always lit up. But mind you, there are like 3 doors. There's a door here, and then a door here. This is my room. This is the bathroom. This is where you can go into the living room, okay? So basically, I was like, oh, I'm looking at that, and it's all lit up, so I can see. So I can see when my dogs walk back and forth, and when they're laying against the room and they want to come in, I can see that. So anyways, it was there. And I sat there, and I just kind of looked, and I was like, what? And I just watched it, no sound. And I saw what looked to be a dress. I'm going to tell you the truth. It looked like an old dress, like doily material, but it was kind of like this. Like it wasn't, I don't know, very small embroidery, but it was like this. Like think of an umbrella, like it's curved like that. It looked like that, but very small curves at the very bottom of the dress, and I could see the freaking shadow underneath there, and it was full. It was full, like it was very black all together, and it moved, and it just moved into here, and I was like, okay, what the hell just happened? Like, I just started smiling. It was an insane experience. I loved it. It was awesome. Like, I have goosebumps right now. It was so cool. Like, it was insane. I loved that experience because, I don't know, I don't know if that's my first, like, shadow person or whatever, but I saw a freaking shadow, and I know it wasn't my dog. I think that's so cool. Like, I got chills right now because it's so cool. But I know that I always keep the door closed. So I'm like, if it is a big dog, it would have walked in there. But it was like full. Like when my dogs walk, you can see their scattered legs. And even my big dogs, they just have bigger paws and bigger legs, And I was thinking, okay, if it's my bigger dog, he would have sat there if the door's closed, and I could have still seen it. Because as you can see, it's not, the distance from these two is not that far. My dog cannot just sit here because he's a really big dog. That much room for, like, a really big dog, you can't see it, but, he's a very big dog. And this is very small space. If you can even see my hand, like, my dog cannot fit there because he's such a big dog, So I was like, what the hell? And I just kept smiling. I couldn't stop staring, and I just, like, looked around. And then I didn't really have, like, I didn't feel comfortable opening it and trying to look in the bathroom to see, because I was like, I don't want to see anything. Like, I'm not in the mood to see anything. I'm kind of hot and bothered. I don't want to play games. So I just left it, and I waited, and I called my dog. I was like, I whistle at my dog, and I call my dog. I'm like, here, Charlie, here, Jack. None of them moved. Like, nothing was sitting in front of the door either. It's just like it moved from walking from my living room into here. Like, it went in the bathroom, and it never came out. And I was like, ugh. So I waited, and then all of a sudden my dog Charlie's walking around, you know, and I'm just like, Charlie! And then I see his, like, tail wag, and I see him, and he sits against the door, you know, and I see his paws, and then it's like, heck? So, and if my dog moved, I would have been able to see it walk across. I can see, like, anything, you know, from there. And so, I was like, so I opened the door, and I'm like, hi, Charlie! I was like, the door was closed. The door was closed. How do you explain that? You know? And so I went and I grabbed my New Testament when my friends were going to get me. Like, they were, you know, after a while, they were outside. I was like, oh no, okay. So I just grabbed my New Testament, put it in my bag, and I was like, ha ha ha. And then something, like, once I got outside, ow, something told me, it was like I got that, like, fight or flight type of feeling, but it wasn't like I needed to fight anything. It was just like my anxiety kicking in. It was like, okay, run outside, you know? Like, I left the porch light on because, I don't know, that experience was just like, it was cool in the moment, but then after I felt like that anxiety, like, ridden experience, I was like, oh gosh, like, I don't, is it following me? Oh my gosh. You know, like, I got panicky and I freaked myself out, and so I turned the porch light on. I zoomed outside and I ran to my friend's car, and they were all looking at me, and I didn't tell them about the experience till later, but yeah, that was an intense experience. It was really, really intense, and I don't know how you explain that. That was pretty intense. I didn't hear anything, but I saw something, and I know what I saw. Excuse that. But it was crazy. It was so crazy. Like, it got my heart, like, and then I finally had to, like, calm down. I just explained to them, but it was like, what the heck? Like, are you kidding me? And I was like, no. So I just, like, stayed at their house. I just stayed at, you know, one of my friend's house, and we all hung out there. I just stayed there the rest of the night. I was like, I wasn't prepared to, like, sleep over, but I didn't even sleep. I just stayed up all night, you know? It was kind of like, it wasn't because of that reason. It was just like, and then usually when I come back, I feel more peaceful, like, you know, nothing's bothering me or watching me, and I feel safe right now, but that was my most recent experience, and I will tell you, it was within this month. Like, you know, this is so recent, and I don't know, I feel at peace. I never feel any masculine presence type of things ever. It's usually only feminine, but it is only me and my mom, you know, just like chilling, really walking through here. So, I don't know if it was passing through, it seemed like it, but I will tell you this, my neighbors, they moved out, and so the landlord's just fixing up the place, you know, because they're going to try and, you know, re-rent it, and they are doing renovating over there. So that explains for the activity. I mean, I know that for a fact. Nothing like this just happens every month or every few months, you know? They were doing stuff over there anyways, but it was like it was around 5, 7-ish. I went in with my friends around 7, you know? So it was like, I don't know. It was that type of thing. And stuff like that is just, it's unexplainable. You know, I could go on about this. All my experiences and everything, like, I don't know. I really don't know. Sometimes I feel like I see things out of the corner of my eye, like, but I don't see anything. And, I don't know. I don't know. It just happens. I just tell, you know, the spirits, or whoever's walking through, I tell them, I'm just like, please leave me alone, you know, and then I don't feel anything, there aren't any games being played. It never feels threatening. It's only scary when I feel my anxiety kick in, you know, where it's like, I can't be here right now, like, I'm not in the state to deal with it, or to really contain myself, you know, like, it's something that's really, really getting to me, like, I can't, I'm not in the right state of mind to really accept this right now, like, I have to accept it later, I just have to, like, kind of be alone for a bit, you know, that's the type of thing that I have. So anyways, I know this video is really long, I apologize, but it's a really big experience for me, and I've always wanted to do one of these videos, and I know it's really important for other people to know. I have these experiences. I don't know anyone that has had these experiences at all, but I hear other experiences. And I actually, every time that I like pray to God, because I'm a Christian, I know you don't have to be really a religion to pray to God, but I believe in God, so I pray to God, and I said this one verse. I said, in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, I rebuke you. Leave this place and be sent back to your hell by the power of the blood of Christ. And that was sent to me by someone I sent that, like, the recent story to, because, I posted a status, like, is this real or am I crazy? And then people were wondering, like, what was your experience? And so that's what I was reading from, what I typed out to him. So yeah, it was pretty crazy. I even told my mom, she's like, what? But it was the day after. I felt more comfortable telling her, because some things I feel like I don't feel comfortable talking about right now, because I feel like, a presence is looking around looking at me. And when something's looking at me, my anxiety kicks in. I'm just like, whoo, cannot do this now. I cannot function. I have to be alone, It's just kind of that type of thing. And certain things feel right at the certain time. I get that feeling. So I can't talk to my mom about certain things. I can't go in the kitchen sometimes because I feel watched. I feel my anxiety kick in, like something's out there watching me, Oh, there's that wispy feeling on my leg and I don't see any hair. It's great. Anyways. So yeah, those are my experiences. Oh, and by the way, these are not spiders either. I know the feeling when spiders are crawling on you because I felt that, once on my leg or whatever, but yeah. Anyways, that's my experience. Did I just hear something else? Anyways, so that was my whole, these are all my paranormal experiences over my entirety of my life, from since the very first one that I can remember and to now. So, I guess I could do updates or when just more things happen, but it's hardly ever. But yeah, I get that whole seeing things and feeling like you're being watched. I don't get feelings like, there's something evil here. I just feel like, oh, anxiety. It's usually like a neutral type of presence that I feel, but I know it's paranormal because, when something's there. You can feel, when someone's watching you, you know what I mean. I'm not crazy, I'm not, being paranoid, but I know, I talked to you about anxiety, but, I mean, it's just a feeling, I shouldn't be here after this experience. Let me go, calm myself down after being too excited, before I freak myself out, because I can do that sometimes, and it's difficult for me to really cope with sometimes. Like that experience, I just had to get out, and I got out with my friends, and then I just instantly felt better, being out of the territory of where it happened. That's usually how I deal with it, or I just go straight to my room, and I just, lock myself in there, and I just keep myself in there, because it's easier to do, and I can really, really just fixate, on my thoughts and just recollect what happened. So, yeah, that's it. If you want me to, answer any questions, I can. I don't know. I've never really, talked about all my experiences, but these are all of my experiences, to my knowledge, that I can, really remember. But yeah, these are my experiences, and they're really, weird, and they creep me out sometimes, and but I feel fine with it, I feel safe, I feel fine. So, anyways, I'm just going to leave it at this, and yeah.